All right, so welcome to the Miracle Sessions class. It's great that we can join even after today, after yesterday, after the solstice. I wasn't sure if anyone would show up, but yes, this is also available today. And I really love to come together after like a big day too, or a big evening. For me, it was an evening, because it's like it is overwhelming what happens during being together for say 2.5 hours or however we were, having a real moment together, and then the next day is different, right? It is different. So I'm very curious to hear your experience with this, and not that it has a real effect in the sense of who knows what, but more like you have your own idea, you have your own experience in how you are experiencing this. So that's good. So it continues. It doesn't stop. So that's why I'm happy with the class. Like, oh yeah, I really need a moment to sit back and relax into this and focus my attention on this. And yes, I'm absolutely I got confirmations that I don't have to look for my happiness outside of myself. Did you get some confirmations today too that you're looking in the wrong place? Well, I had that, so it's great. So then it's also really nice to spend time in looking for it where it can be found, and taking time to relax into that. So that's really the invitation for the miracle sessions today. It's like, yeah, relax into this. You cannot look for happiness where it cannot be found. You can search for it, but it will not be there. And that's in your relationship. That's in your this and in your that. Like, no, that's not where you have to look for your happiness. So here we go into this session, leaving behind what occupied our minds a moment ago, and letting everything be for a moment, not anticipating too much, not engaging with the thoughts that you have, but no, really letting that pass by for a moment. And not only just that, it's more like now we're opening ourselves up for a whole different experience of ourselves. So it's like what is going to be shared is exactly for that. It's like that's going to help you to slide into a different frequency altogether. Like there's a real possibility of experiencing a miracle in this. And you're like, well, I'm not sure. Of who knows what you're thinking. It's like, no, well, give this a chance. Give it a chance. Because it is telling you more than you can imagine. It is giving you the opportunity of an alternative to the things that you are used to. And why not accepting that? Why not really going for that? So it's like, yeah, I want that. Because I know the world. I know my own mind. I know the results I get from my ideas that I have. Well, this is the time that I want to let go of them and not follow them up by thinking like, okay, well, it's not fantastic, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to deal with it as I'm used to. It's like, no, don't do that. Just stop right there. This is about the possibility of a gift that is available to you. And continuously you will have to open your mind for it. Because what does a mind when it's by itself? Like, what does a human mind when it is by itself? It contracts. It becomes like, it really gets stuck in itself. And that's not so easy to get out of when you're by yourself. So of course you can. But see, here this class is really to do a little mind juggle, a little mind gymnastics, so that you come to the, oh yeah, wait a minute. Oh yes, we do this together indeed. Yeah, it's a shared experience. And I get support from my brothers, from Jesus, from the angels, from Mother Mary. She's here today too. Mother Mary is going to help us today. So it's really great. So there's some real good support. You know, it's incredible. See, and then it's like, oh yeah, wait a minute. I was just so confined suddenly in my own little thing for a moment, and it felt so, yeah, excruciatingly, say, locked up. But luckily there's another opportunity. There's a way to get out of this and experience something else. That is so lovely. So here we go. Today I want to use a lesson that is pretty close to the lesson we used yesterday. Let me see where it was. It was about the gifts of God. Oh yeah, here. Lesson 126. And that is really beautiful too. It's a lesson about giving. What I give to myself. So it's lesson 126 on page 347 of the Urtext. All that I give is given to myself. So and it helps you to look at things. You know, it's very practical. Today's idea, completely alien to the ego and the thinking of the world, is crucial to the thought reversal which this course will bring about. If you believe this statement, there would be no problem in complete forgiveness, certainty of goal, and sure direction. You would understand the means by which salvation comes to you and would not hesitate to use it now. All that I give is given to myself. Like if you knew that you would be giving to yourself, you would be motivated to give, to extend yourself. You would have a real inspiration of forgiveness, you know, because you're dealing with yourself. There's nobody out there, so there is only you anyway. But we'll see what happens when we go through this lesson, because it's really sweet. You would understand the means by which salvation comes to you and would not hesitate to use it now. It's not another moment. No, you're going to use this right now. All that I give is given to myself. Well, I'm going to give it everything, you know. I'm going to give it everything. I'm not going to be shy because I'm literally giving to myself. I don't have to be shy at all. I don't know where that came from. Let us consider what you do believe in place of this idea. It seems to you that other people are apart from you and able to behave in ways which have no bearing on your thoughts, nor theirs on yours. Therefore, your attitudes have no effect on them, and their appeals for help are not in any way related to your own asking for help. You further think that they can sin without affecting your perception of yourself, while you can judge their sin and yet remain apart from condemnation and at peace. So we're going to dissect this a little bit. It's good to take a look at it. Let us consider what you do believe in place of this idea that you only give to yourself. While it seems to you that other people are apart from you and are able to behave in ways that have no bearing on your thoughts, nor theirs on yours. Like it seems to have nothing to do with you the way others behave. Therefore, your attitudes have no effect on them, and their appeals for help are not in any way related to your own. So you think that if somebody asks for help, that has nothing to do with you. Or when somebody says, I'm sick, or I'm this or that it seems like having nothing to do with you. And that's, of course, not the reality of this, but it's for us to discover what we are thinking. Like, what am I thinking? I really think that there can be something suffering apart from me, that it has nothing to do with me. Like, I could also turn it around and ask for help myself because I see suffering. That would be like a healing attitude. So we'll get to that later. You further think that they can sin without affecting your perception of yourself, while you judge their sin, and yet remain apart from condemnation and at peace. Well, I know for sure that you actually had in the last 24 hours an experience of that. That you were judging someone for his behavior or his way of behaving, thinking that it has nothing to do with you. Like it is something, a part of you that is sinning, so to speak, that is performing the sin. They do something that you can judge about, but it seems to have nothing to do with you. Like, well, this is a real characteristic of human thinking, and you probably did that in the last 24 hours. Like, yeah, absolutely, I did, absolutely. So that is why we need help, That's why we need help. So when you forgive a sin, there's no gain to you directly. You give charity to one unworthy merely to point out that you are better on a higher plane than he whom you forgive. Well, does that sound familiar? Like, yeah, I can forgive. Like, all right, I'll forgive you for what you have done. I forgive you for what you have done. Thinking like, okay, well, that's not on my shirt any longer. Like, it has nothing to do with you, but I will forgive you for what you did. So this is another way of saying the same thing, in fact. In fact, only confirming the separation. He has not earned your charitable tolerance, which you bestow on one unworthy of the gift, because his sins have lowered him beneath a true equality with you. You can call it arrogance, of course. It's like an act of arrogance. You say like, well, I'll forgive you. Like, you will never get to the level that I am, but okay, I'll forgive you for what you've done. You don't know better. You don't know better. So this is like the height of insanity, of course. But very usual. It's very common to use it like this. He has no claim on your forgiveness. It holds out a gift to him, but hardly to yourself. Thus is forgiveness basically unsound, a charitable whim, benevolent yet undeserved, a gift bestowed at times and at other times withheld, unmerited, withholding it just. Nor is it fair that you should suffer when it is withheld. The sin which you forgive is not your own. Someone apart from you committed it, and if you then are gracious unto him by giving him what he does not deserve, your gift is no more yours than was his sin. And that speaks for itself. If this be true, forgiveness has no grounds on which to rest dependably and sure. It is an eccentricity in which you sometimes choose to give indulgently an undeserved reprieve. Yet it remains your right to let the sinner not escape the justified repayment for his sin. Think you the Lord of heaven would allow the world's salvation to depend on this? Would not his care for you be small indeed if your salvation rested on a whim? You do not understand forgiveness. As you see it, it is but a check upon overt attack, without requiring correction in your mind. It cannot give you peace as you perceive it. So this is, okay, let's stop right here. So it's like coming back to your own experience in this. It's like, yeah, there really are some situations where you're not sure if you acted in the right way. These situations might already have come up. Like, well, I was really trying to calculate this more or less, like it was not a giving at all. See, and that situation will just, or a situation that really looks like this one, will come back to you to learn this lesson again. And this is a repetition. So if you see that in your life, certain situations come back as a real repetition of this pattern of this exact same setup. Like they're so well designed for you to learn your lesson. That is really sweet, and not sweet, but it's very clear. It's very clear that you have to look at it this way. So that's why this is a real, possibility to do it different this time. But actually I want to go back a little bit to your feelings around this, because it might not be too disturbing altogether. You get used to dealing with it in this way for a while. It's like, you can deal with it it's like a shortcut out of a difficult situation. And you can use that for a while. But in the end, you will bump up against a wall where you will need to learn this lesson, to see that you weren't giving at all, that you really were coming from your arrogance in this, that the one that you are forgiving is absolutely not at the same level of worthiness than you are. And this is like, just be honest about it. Yes, I did that. Yeah, absolutely, I did that. And it came back to me too. It doesn't feel good. It is not over. It is not done. And this is good, because now you can take time to fix that, so to speak, or to clean up your backyard, where still some of the remains are available, are still there. So it wasn't cleaned up completely. So and that is what I love about a lesson. Like, okay, this time I want to be not coming from arrogance, but from love, from real forgiveness. But I will have to be shown what that exactly means, because I have no idea what that actually is and how that feels. How that would, free me from the situation and free me, and giving it to my brother in a way that we both feel that it's solved, that we feel it's gone, whatever it was before. So this is really an incredible healing lesson in that sense. It's a beautiful healing lesson to come to the a deep cleaning, so to speak, of your mind, of situations that are still circulating in your experience and that are showing up now and then. And you walked out of them, a couple of them, but they came back to you. And this time you're going to take it, and are going to undergo this healing for yourself. So you do not understand forgiveness. As you see it, it's but a check upon overt attack, without requiring correction in your mind. Like, the other guy needs to correct his mind, the other guy needs to think differently, is what you think. It cannot give you peace as you perceive it, and it's actually immediate. So when you do it like this, when you don't do it completely, so to speak, then there's no healing, then there's not a moment in which you feel the connectedness again with the specific person or with the specific situation that you're in. See, there's no peace that you feel, and that makes you weary. It's like that is the start of something that will hang on your tail until it's solved. See, and sometimes it's in your awareness, sometimes you forget about it, and suddenly, woof, there's something, I really didn't see that coming. And that's exactly a situation, is what I'm talking about. It is not a means for your release from what you see in someone other than yourself. It has no power to restore unity with him to your awareness. It is not what God intended it to be for you. Not having given him the gift he asks of you, you cannot recognize his gifts and think he has not given them to you. Yet would he ask you for a gift unless it was for you? Could he be satisfied with empty gestures and evaluate such petty gifts as worthy of his son? Salvation is a better gift than this, and true forgiveness as the means by which it is attained must heal the mind that gives. For giving is receiving. What remains as unreceived has not been given, but what has been given must have been received. That's the lovely, like, then you know it's right. When you feel the release, when you feel that it's done, when you feel that it's over, that it's solved, you're free of it. And that's the gift you give to yourself. So literally, like, your brother is really the Christ, you know. So you give this gift to the Christ, no matter what he appears to be doing. But it's a gift you give. And see, when I say Christ, I mean actually like that what you love as yourself, you know, that what you love as yourself. That's what you love in recognition of the love that the Father has for you and you have for your Father. So that is what you give to your brother. Like, and you have to get over your own ideas. You have to get over yourself in order to do that. You have to get over the idea that you are separate from your brother. So how do you do that? How do you get over yourself? Well, that can take a moment. It can take a moment to get over yourself. But when you do, you know how well that feels. It's like, oh, finally I come to the point where I can forgive. Like, yeah, the edge is off of it completely. No, there's only one thing that I want, and that is like seeing that there's no separation. But I actually want to join with my brother in this. I want to give him that gift so I can receive it for myself too. So when that is complete and whole, when it's done, so to speak, then it is received by both. You know, you have a moment of, so great. I'm so happy that you're here. So happy that you join with me in this and that this is over. You know, and it is like that. Whether a person is like physically there or not, but you feel the difference. So this takes care of a really solving, it's like a really reinterpreting your perception of all things. See, and that's why you need help with that, because you were not able to do that. And when I say resolving all things, I also mean like there's so many situations that you have, say, brushed away in arrogance, that you pushed aside, like, oh no, that has nothing to do with me, no, that's not for me, no. Maybe the harder you say that, the more it was for you. But see, that was a common attitude of you as a human being, and now that is changing. So that means also that situations can really come back to you in a way that you actually really don't want, but have to deal with now in a different way. Not relying on your idea about what forgiveness is, but having it be shown what it is and how that works. You know, that is really the possibility here. Today, say at the 8th paragraph, today we try to understand the truth that giver and receiver are the same. You will need help to make this meaningful. You will need help to make this meaningful because it is so alien to the thoughts to which you are accustomed. But the help you need is there. Give him your faith today and ask him that he share your practicing in truth today. And if you only catch a glimpse of the release which lies in the idea we practice for today, this is a day of glory for the world. See, it is not even being asked to completely release in this, but even a tiny little bit in which you catch a glimpse of how the release would be for you to be free of this situation, or to have this resolved in you, then it's a glorious day for the world. You know, it's like that's already a big win. That's pretty amazing. So see, there's always not much asked of you, but just the willingness to do this, in fact, and that has great support, and that's why things can change in you, because you were willing to allow something else to take it over for you, to have it be resolved. So give 50 minutes twice today to the attempt to understand today's idea. It is the thought by which forgiveness takes its proper place in your priorities. It is the thought that will release your mind from every bar to what forgiveness means, and let you realize its worth to you. In silence, close your eyes upon the world which does not understand forgiveness, and seek sanctuary in the quiet place where thoughts are changed and false beliefs are laid by. Repeat today's idea and ask for help in understanding what it really means. Be willing to be taught. Be glad to hear the voice of truth and healing speak to you, and you will understand the words he speaks, and recognize he speaks your words to you. As often as you can, remind yourself you have a goal today, an aim which makes this day of special value to yourself and to all your brothers. Do not let your mind forget this goal for long, but tell yourself, all that I give is given to myself. The help I need to learn that this is true is with me now, and I will trust in him. Then spend a quiet moment opening your mind to his correction and his love. And what you hear of him, you will believe, for what he gives will be received by you. Okay, so let's do this for just a moment. Close your eyes upon the world which does not understand forgiveness, and seek sanctuary in the quiet place where thoughts are changed and false beliefs are laid by. So all that I give is given to myself. So let's practice that for a moment. All right, that's lovely. That's lovely. So it's great to practice this. See, and it is like always coming back to the place where you are vulnerable in a certain sense, like when you become sensitive to yourself, to what's going on in you. Like that's where you want to meet yourself for the healing of this all. Like it's a really gentle place. It's a place where you can allow to drop your defenses. You know, that's with this lesson too, and with what, say, letting it come to you what forgiveness is, because you want it to be resolved. You don't want to walk around with with grievances. You don't want to walk around with, say, excluding your brother in any kind of way. So this lesson is then really helpful. But also, like, what I wanted to emphasize is this is then basically what we're doing is entering into this place of vulnerability always when we meet. Like, this is really the place where you are not attacking in any way, that you drop your defenses, where you admit that your war against yourself is almost over, where you admit too that you are one with your brother. It's like, yeah, I give to myself because there's literally no one and nothing outside of me. So, and that is that's such a beautiful place to meet, and that's so great that, in fact, that is what we share together. It's like allowing ourselves to become really vulnerable in a safe space where that can occur. So that's really what we give to one another. So in that, everything is resolved. In that, everything can change. And in that, you can have new experiences of yourself. Just because that is a possibility here, and we respect that, we give that to one another. See, and that is so different than the world in that sense, because in the world you will always discuss or try to get even or try to stay with your right, or who knows how you try to resolve things. Like, we know that so well, and we got so, like, I speak for myself, of course, but you get to the end of that. That's not interesting anymore to solve it like that. No, you want it to be solved, really solved. It's like, yeah. So I'm willing to enter into that vulnerability, into that place where we can be completely, in fact, relaxed and not having to defend any kind of ideas. No, just willing to receive. Willing to receive, that's it. So I love it that you join me in that. That's really lovely. And that's what you can extend to everyone you meet, in fact. Like, there's never a reason to defend yourself. So that's something as like, yeah, that's where your practice, basically where your ministry starts. To keep that in mind, like, oh yeah, wait a minute, I got to do this. This has to be done in a different way. I have no idea how that's supposed to look, but I'm willing to have it been taught to me. Someone will show me how to do this. Like, there's one in me that knows how to deal with this. So, and then being patient at the same time, not trying to take it over, like, okay, well, that didn't resolve it quickly enough or something. Whatever your idea is, like, no, wait just a moment, just a little bit longer, and allow it to change. Allow yourself to come to the place that you see that there is no separation. That's worth waiting for. Even though in your experience of yourself, you want immediately a result, or you want almost you want to force it, but you cannot. Like, that will not be the solution. So anyway, that's the invitation for today, to come to that place and take that with you. And in that, basically, your ministry starts. Like, exactly what I'm talking about. And you also know that you don't know how to solve things. You don't know how to do that, otherwise you would have done it. No, you're here because you actually are admitting, no, I don't know how to solve anything. So I'm taking that with me. And this is my toolbox, so to speak. And the toolbox, I'm an instrument myself too. I'm a tool myself too in this situation. And one who can learn to step back out of the situation and let, say, the solution come to solve it for you. So, and that's why I say, like, yeah, there's help from angels, there's help from Jesus, there's help from Mary, and they're all with you continuously. They are with you, they're in you, they're completely helping you to wake up out of this, because in fact, whoever you meet is the Christ. So it's like, yeah, that's going to be a real revelation for you to see that in everyone, and that is the opportunity. Mary did have that experience. Jesus had that experience, absolutely. And so on. You have that experience when you allow that to happen to you. You know, that's the offering. And we get a lot of help. So we discover that. We get a lot of help. There's so many mighty companions. And you never know how they show up, in what way they come to you. But it is here, and it is now, it's happening. So thank you for being here to listen to this and joining in this space of safety and of vulnerability and of innocence, in fact. So thank you for that.